let's talk about the areas here, right? So when I asked you where you're investing, you said, around Midway, some of those near South and Southwest burbs. Talk to us about the area there. Like maybe just go north to south or east to west, however you want to describe the area, and just go. We'll dive in from there.
Cool. So I guess for furthest south, properties that we have are in 𝗟𝗃, Illinois. And then, we jump to Chicago Ridge, which is just like kind of right in front of that. And then Burbank, which is in front of that. And then if you go right in front of that, you run into Chicago and what I call like Clearing or Garfield Ridge, or a lot of people call Midway. So areas themselves, all pretty similar. Outside of one's actually in Chicago, but the suburban properties are all pretty similar. Each suburb, I think you guys have some on your website, have their own little nuances with being a landlord inside of them and things like that. But for the most part, they're all pretty similar, because at the end of the day, you're in Cook County. So
𝗟𝗃 falls under a lot of Chicago. Like some of their resources they use I think Chicago resources for a lot of their stuff. So they're unique to be a landlord in. Like they don't have the rental license; they fall under the Chicago codes.
Yeah, 𝗟𝗃. Yeah, they have crime-free housing that's local. They do have like their own, they are involved though. They use some Chicago resources, but I mean, the villages themselves are still heavily involved with apartment buildings, getting your licenses there and things like that.
So, going from Garfield Ridge or Clearing, to one of these suburbs, like what's the pros and cons in your opinion? Because I get that question all the time about, should I be in the city or should I be in the suburbs? And I'd love to hear other people's perspective.
Cool. So just for like round numbers, we paid about the same, for property Ridge, Chicago, as we were paying like in 𝗟𝗃 or Chicago Ridge or anywhere like that. So just trying to compare apples to apples. There's annual inspections in these little villages. Some of them where the fire department also inspects, which is a lot more, paying our guys to kind of sit around all day and wait for them to come out and look at it. In the city, we don't get any of those inspections really. We just get the boiler inspections on buildings that are larger. I think we only have it in a couple of our properties. We have to do the city boiler inspections. So and then looking at it, we paid about the same price, right? And the tax bills are almost double in the suburbs as they are in the city, and also the water bill is probably about 30% higher as well.
That's a big jump. Do rents offset that, right? Like, how are you just, hey, like I know my NOI is going to be less out here?
So the rents are about the same too. So, that's why I really, really like sticking in my little pocket over here in Chicago. Valuing buildings today, I could kind of pay less for the suburb ones, more for the Chicago ones. But, you're always still kind of running that property test risk. Trying to figure that out is always fun. I'm sure everyone has their go-to guy that they send properties to tell you what the bad news is going to be. But yeah.
Well, looking at the stuff you have in Chicago, and you grew up in West Lawn, like talks about kind of what you've seen and over, from being a little kid to growing up and getting into the business, and kind of, you're investing money into these neighborhoods now. Where are you seeing that's good that's happening over there?
So I like to kind of consider this is just kind of like the backbone of Chicago. This is a lot of where you'll find a lot of office workers, blue collar workers, things like that. A lot of workforce of Chicago are in these areas. I happen to buy not where I grew up. I grew up east of the airport. I don't have any buildings over there, and not that I won't buy over there, but necessarily I haven't had anything that has made sense in that area. I'm mostly west of the airport, which is interesting because usually a lot of times people will follow the train systems and things like that. And if you look west over there, there is no train, or there is no, there's just buses and things like that. But I find that the customer, the tenant is usually of higher quality on that side of the airport. I feel like we get a lot more demand on that side of the airport. We never really have any vacancies or things like that, and we don't have any trouble with collections either.